Alright, thanks for your patience, everybody. Sorry I'm a wee bit late here, checking in on things. So, every time I start these crypto videos with looking at the dollar and the broader market, there's a handful of people that get really upset that I'm just not talking about crypto right away. But I suggest paying attention for the clues that these other things give us, and today was a perfect example. So let's look at Bitcoin today. And let's look at when I recognized the broader market bulls were proving something to us. So I recognize strength in the broader market. I go right over to our crypto channel and I say the stock market bulls are trying to prove. Let me just make sure my mic. Aha, echo.
Fixing the mic. We're good to go. That's your third sense kicking in. 6 cents. 7 cents. So, stock market bulls trying to prove something. Bitcoin needs to confirm an hourly uptrend for the first baby step towards a daily higher low. 1241. So what is Bitcoin doing at 1241? Looking at the 2-minute time frame, at 1241, absolutely nothing is going on. We're trading right here. We're hardly over the highest level in the last couple of hours. At that point in time, we had hourly EMA 12. We were battling that level. And from that point forward, it's been all bulls showing up. You can see that the volume kicked in and the bull break took place right when the broader market strength in the S&P 500 started to stand out. So it's not a huge amount of follow through at this point, but it is a very clear clue. Check out, watch for bulls. The broader stock market bulls are proving strength to us. And if you look at the S&P 500, this is what was going on at that point in time, right when the ramp up started. Gotta be watching all of these things if you want to have the best edge with trading crypto. It absolutely is a factor. The dollar is still very strong. In a daily uptrend, we have to lose the daily uptrend for anything to shift. New benchmark support, 102.20. And right now we're seeing the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 do exactly what bulls want to see. So I'll talk about those more in depth in the end of the day market video. But it's a good day for bulls overall. We've been sideways for 6-7 days in the S&P 500, and we're breaking bull and trying to test 8-month highs. So what does that mean for Bitcoin? That means for Bitcoin that we're trying to set the daily higher low. We knew that due to the size of this bounce, a daily higher low was absolutely on the table for the trend change attempt because of the size of the bounce. And so we topped out at daily EMA 12, no surprise there. We confirmed a 4-hour downtrend eventually. It took a while, but confirmed a 4-hour downtrend into the daily consolidation. And now we have a big enough bounce where the bulls will try and confirm a 4-hour uptrend if we are to see the daily higher low set. And then we need to break 27.7 to confirm the daily uptrend. If we do that, we successfully hold weekly EMA 12 support yet again. So the next step, confirm the 4-hour uptrend and break 27.7 for the daily uptrend to then confirm. So that is where we stand. Big red flag at this point for the bulls would be retracing over half of this move. We don't even have an hourly uptrend right now. We need an hourly uptrend, we need a 4-hour uptrend, we need a daily uptrend. So the burden is absolutely still on Bitcoin bulls here, but we're watching, can they shift momentum? They've got the wind at their backs now. The broader market, the stock market, is blowing some wind on the Bitcoin bulls back, and we'll see if that's enough. We're also going to talk about the Metaverse narrative that is revived here, and it's a revival because we remember back when Facebook, formerly Facebook, now Meta, was talking about the Metaverse, and we saw Mana and Sand and a couple other names make their significant breakouts, multiple 100% moves. It was all the rage in crypto. And then it faded, completely faded. And those coins have been extremely weak. And now there is rumors of Apple releasing in June a headset, VR, virtual reality stuff. And that's reviving. It's essentially Metaverse narrative 2.0. Is it going to be significant? We'll have to see. But it's significant enough to stand out on the charts and get our attention. And AXS, I don't know much about this project at all, but AXS had an announcement that their app or whatever is going to be in the Apple Store. And so this was a reaction to that news where we went extremely fast and hard, up 20% plus. We now gave a ton of it back. So what do we anticipate from here? Equilibrium. Low, high, higher, low. We'll scout an hourly low or high, anything under 850. If the bounce retracement is 50% plus, we'll then look for the equilibrium to continue to tighten. So keeping an eye on AXS for this narrative. Mana, bulls standing out today. Just looking at my list, my crypto list here, when's the last time Mana has been up near the top? It's been a very long time. So again, this move in itself is not impressive on the charts overall. It's a nice move compared to the last month of trading, but zoom out, because we know that if Mana does not break 70 cents, nothing changes, and we're in a prolonged downtrend still. What the bulls are hoping for on the longer term time frames on these names are monthly higher lows. We had the fear low, the bounce of the high, and now we're trying to shape up a monthly trend change. But again, it's a ton of work for these bulls if we are going to see that take shape from here. And so we would have to see a daily trend change confirmed to the bulls. So whenever this move tops out, we need the higher low and higher high. The weekly needs the trend change. So it's worth paying attention to the narrative to see where the volume is focused, where the attention, the social media hype is focused. But it's also very important to remember the trends, because yep, it's a nice spike, but this move can fade, absolutely. That we don't know if this is going to be a sustained bull move, and so we just have to protect against, buying on this little short-term move and some hype, not having an exit plan, and then you're a bag holder. So spike up on Mana, 4-hour higher low is trying to form. I would be watching, well, we already confirmed it. Never mind. 15-minute uptrend confirming, increasing the probabilities that a 4-hour higher low is being set. EMA 12 still support, and we've got to see continuation. And the BTC pairings have to see the same thing. Got to see the spotlight with these BTC pairings, which means do the same thing that the US dollar pairing is doing and confirm some uptrends. So this move, we can look at this 4-hour time frame and say that this is the move right here. So this is the new narrative spike. And do we tighten up and then break bear and fail? Or is this the start of a shift and we see continuation from here and keep the 4-hour higher lows going? The biggest red flag at this point would be losing the 4-hour higher lows. So those are a must hold. Sand, a little bit weaker than Mana, but same deal. 4-hour higher low trying to form on EMA 12, must see continuation. Tons of work to do on the daily and weekly chart, but short term, it's the attempt at a bit of a shift being underway right now. Other names, RNDR. 4-hour, there's continuation. So that's now just happening here. RNDR, weekly EMA 12. So RNDR is a lot different than Mana and Sand. We have a weekly uptrend. The weekly higher low is now set off of EMA 12. So I would put it towards the front of the list as in terms of being one of the stronger of these names. Gala is another one. And you can see Gala has given back a lot of its move. We're looking for the 4-hour higher low, but again, got to be cautious because we did retrace over 50%. So out of the names we just looked at, RNDR is the strongest. Mana, probably number 2, unless Sand can confirm this 4-hour higher high. Sand didn't have as big of a move as Mana here, but if we follow through, that can definitely have it increase its comparative strength. But I would suggest, having these subsectors on watch, whether it's, the DeFi names as a separate little subsector, the Metaverse names as a subsector, privacy coins as a subsector, because we often get these, narrative cycles. And right now, it's a short-term new Metaverse narrative. And I say short-term because the bulls have a lot of proving to do. So burden on bulls to prove to us that this move has legs and follow through. In the short term for Bitcoin, we're watching for hourly consolidation, knowing that we must confirm the trend change. So a potential little inverse head and shoulders setup. If you've got FOMO, You're waiting to buy on consolidation. And the way that I would approach this trade, if I'm looking long here, is I look at this and say, that's either the daily high or low, or I'm wrong. We haven't confirmed an hourly uptrend. We haven't confirmed a 4-hour uptrend. There's nothing confirming that this is the daily high or low. It's just a big enough bull move to give the bulls a chance at those shorter term time frame trend changes. So I make an entry on consolidation, and I then put my stop under 26.5 and give the bulls a chance to confirm a trend change and set that daily high or low. And if we drop down and break 26.5, it's a big red flag. That is a red flag in terms of giving back this move. That needs to be the daily high or low if the bulls are going to work on shifting this momentum. All right, let's look at some other coins. ETH, very similar to Bitcoin, daily high or low trying to form. ETH, BTC, very sideways, worth keeping an eye. I would expect ETH, BTC to see a spike in volatility in the near term, just when this sideways 6-7 day range gives us a break. Again, the bigger picture is what matters for me on ETH, BTC. Can we confirm a weekly uptrend and break this falling wedge bullish? But well aware that we can trade within this range for another 2-3 weeks pretty easily. So if we're sideways on ETH, BTC, that means we're generally doing the same thing that Bitcoin is doing. Litecoin's been putting on a show. Got to give it to the Litecoin bulls. One of the strongest altcoins over the last 4 days. Increasing bull volume. Again, that weekly high or low being set and very significant follow through. It's going to be all about 103.42 resistance to see if we remain within this equilibrium or not. But very strong 4-hour uptrend. I assume we've been seeing back burners. 5-minute oversold, best time to buy. We just keep bouncing off 5-minute oversold conditions. And again, we got the halving coming up for Litecoin. I think it's in 69, 68 days, something like that. So that's a little narrative potential catalyst. But keep an eye on LTC, BTC. It's straight up at this point. We know daily consolidation will be inevitable. It's a daily stair step for the last 9 days. But we are testing 2-month highs here. So we're close to seeing Litecoin at the strongest level that it's been compared to Bitcoin in the last 2 months. And we did essentially double bottom down here. It was a bear break, just barely with 0 follow through. But congrats to the Litecoin bulls. Very impressive run up. You can see LTC BTC is not even touching 4-hour EMA 12, just showing that strength. And now we're going to see, can we get over this level, or does that lead to 4-hour consolidation, rejecting from 349? We've been keeping an eye on Atom. Atom has been trying to shape up a daily trend change. Got to get over 1128 to confirm that daily higher low and higher high. And again, we're watching this as a potential falling wedge as well. This is how we were keeping an eye on it. So still battling. Nothing changing. It would be a red flag for the bulls if we break 1068. Got to break 1128. So we know what the bulls need. They need daily uptrends. They need Bitcoin to confirm the daily uptrend. What are bears looking for? If I'm a bear, an aggressive bear is looking for an inability to break daily resistance, but knowing that the broader market is seeing potentially the start of a breakout here, that would keep me a little bit more cautious as a bear. And maybe as a bear, I want to be hands off and say, I'm going to scout a weekly lower high from here. You know, I'm not comfortable scouting bearish in the short term. I'm going to give the bulls a chance to confirm a daily trend change. And then on Bitcoin or altcoins or whoever, I'm going to then look for a weekly lower high to be the most likely result of the next bounce. Maybe Mana. You know, Mana, anything under 70 cents is a weekly lower high. So that's still 40% away or something like that. So a bear is going to patiently be scouting a weekly lower high. Maybe that's in a week. Maybe it's in 3 weeks. But if the broader market bulls follow through with this daily breakout attempt, then that for me means be more patient as a bear. Thanks everybody for the likes and the comments. Thanks for the chat room people who call for the likes, like my friend Blue. It always helps. And it makes me feel real good inside. Just that little digital number thumb. Give me the hit of dopamine. No, not really. Hopefully. That's when you know you got a problem. All right. I'm reading the chat room now. Looking at. And I'm talking about these crypto stocks, they're still not that strong. Like Riot right now, it's the highest level in 3 days, but the S&P 500 is testing 8-month highs. For Riot to be testing 8-month highs, we need to be 30% higher. A little bit less than that, 25% higher. So the crypto stocks are definitely seeing a little bit of upside. I like Coin to try and confirm a daily uptrend, but MARA is stronger than Riot. Still, a lot of work to do. Holding support's a good sign. So if Bitcoin bulls do shape up a daily trend change, we will certainly look for these crypto stocks to continue to benefit from it. But there are much stronger plays out there than the crypto stocks right now. You look at AI. AI is in breakout mode. These growth names, PLTR, daily higher low and continuation, semiconductors, AMD. So holding support, good sign. But it is it's the fact that Bitcoin is still in a daily downtrend that is holding these crypto stocks back a little bit, as well as the looming cloud overhead of still having to deal with the SEC. Coin has to deal with the SEC. MARA keeps, I don't know the exact details of the news, but I keep seeing these headlines of, MARA, letter from the SEC, blah, blah, blah. So that is a factor as well. Are Bitcoin backburners on the table? No. We're not in an uptrend. Again, backburners are their best when we are in a clear, strong, trending market. And right now we are not in a clear, strong, trending market. I would be looking at, potentially 4-hour overbought as a reverse backburner, keeping an eye out for consolidation if we get to 4-hour overbought conditions, because that would be the first. Well, even then, we already saw it. So I don't like backburners right now in either direction in Bitcoin. Andy B on point with answering that question. All right. Sol. Nope. SOL USDT. So Sol is trying to shape up the same daily uptrend that Bitcoin is. So higher low trying to form. We must break 2153 to confirm the daily uptrend. Going to the 12-hour here because this looks a bit... Hey. This looks a bit like a potential falling wedge. Downtrend resistance line. So yeah, I'd be keeping an eye. I mean, essentially, this falling wedge, these visual guides on this trend line, it's not giving me any information. Because if this is going to break bull, it's just a daily uptrend confirming. So stick with the price levels. It's a nice little visual guide, but it's all in the price. And so we've got the daily higher low trying to form. And if we break 2152, it's the confirmed daily uptrend. Then we zoom out to the weekly. Anything under 26 would be a weekly lower high. Weekly chart's definitely very choppy here. I don't have a ton of clarity as far as trend. So then I just go to different time frames. What is standing out to me? I like the 2-week. The 2-week time frame is clear for me because we've got our low, high, higher low, lower high, and anything above 16 is a higher low. And bulls are hoping that a 2-week higher low is forming right now. So for Sol, haven't looked at Sol in a while, but it's clear for me that the 2-week time frame is clear. And so a daily uptrend confirming would be the first baby step towards a 2-week higher low forming. And eventually this 2-week tightening range will break sometime within the next 3 to 6 weeks. And that's going to give us some significant implications for what the second half of summer is going to look like. Checking back in on the broader market here. A little bit of consolidation, potentially pulling back. Bitcoin still strong, testing the high of the bounce. Trying to play a little catch up after not participating much on the morning. Did we look at no, we looked at AXS. AVAX. Daily. So one of the weaker coins, the fact that we just tested the low, granted it held, but have to get over 1535 to confirm a daily uptrend. And then we zoom out, and anything under 2156 is just a weekly lower high. It's possible. I mean, when I look at this chart, what I see is just a tightening range. And so if we hold 1388, it's a bigger picture higher low. Then we look for the lower high. Next thing you know, it's July, and we're really tight on this weekly time frame. But for that to play out, the bulls need to get a weekly bounce going. And so that's what we're looking for here for the rest of this week and into next week. Can we shape up the daily uptrends to start the weekly bounces to see these longer term tightening ranges continue to play out? So if I'm looking bigger picture on AVAX, maybe I'm using 1388 as a stop. That has to be the higher low, or I'm wrong. Thoughts on platforms such as Secure the Bag? I don't know anything about that platform. What's my opinion, bigger picture on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ? Well, I put out a video yesterday saying 2 days ago saying I was bullish. I'll talk about that more in the end of the day video. But again, every day, end of the day, I'm talking about the broader market and all the major sectors. And yesterday was my bull thesis. And today is doing exactly what I wanted to see for a bull thesis. And now it's just a question of, do we follow through for the next couple of days from here? Apple's worth more than the entire Russell 2000? Doesn't matter at all to me. Just play the trends. Just play the price levels. If there's a red flag, Apple will show us weakness, and it will drag down the broader market. If Apple's not showing us any meaningful weakness, the bulls have full control. Apple has been consolidating sideways there's intra-sector rotation going on. Apple for the last 7 days, 8 days is sideways, and during that time, look at what Google did. Big catch up. Look at what Amazon did. We're catching up. Apple led the way up. Now it's trading sideways, and the other big tech names are catching up. What does that sound familiar from? Bitcoin leads the way up. Bitcoin trades sideways. Altcoins play catch up. Same game, different sectors. Crypto does it all the time. Big tech has done it over the last 2 weeks. Do I consider it a bear flag in the Bitcoin daily chart? I do not. The bounce retracement was big enough for me to scout the higher low. If you're measuring the bounce retracement from the last daily lower high, it was plenty big enough. We bounced 70% retracement. If you're measuring from back here, it was a 48% retracement. So for me, that's enough to scout the daily higher low. How do I scout the daily high or low? The setup for a 4-hour trend change. If it's on a stock, it's the hourly chart for me. But this is now a big enough move to say, okay, it looks like the daily higher low is shaping up. I'm going to look to enter on consolidation and stick my stop under the low. That's either the daily higher low and I'm right and we confirm an uptrend over the coming days, or we drop down and break that low and I am wrong, and the risk and reward dictates that the reward potential is more sizable than the risk. But it would have to be an entry on consolidation at this point because it's just a straight up hourly move. Bitcoin maybe hitting a little temporary climax top there with that spike. But again, we're going to look for an hourly high or low. I don't know, SDIG. There's your answer right there. So the question is, why didn't SDIG go up like all the other Bitcoin mining companies? And your answer is, I don't know what that is. I am someone who trades Bitcoin mining stocks every other day on average, and I've never heard of that name. So that's why. It doesn't have enough attention. It doesn't have enough volume. It's not one of the major players. Probably doesn't have the same liquidity as the other names. And that's your answer, yeah. So we're looking at average volume. The 20-day average volume here is under $1 million traded. And then you got MARA, where the average volume is $320 million traded. So anybody that's a serious trader is looking at the names that have the volume and the liquidity. So there's just not enough interest there at this point in time. And it's also the same thing, like, you know, bots and correlations. MARA and Riot, there are people that have automated trading systems that are set up on those two names, and it factors in Bitcoin, the NASDAQ, and each other. And those same trading bots are not set up on an illiquid, you know, low cap name. Why don't I use VWAP? Why don't I use Ichi-Cloud? Why don't I use EW? Why don't I use... There's 150 things I could name that I don't use. And the reason I don't use it is because I found a system that works for me. And so when you find a system that works for you, you don't constantly look to keep adding other things. That doesn't mean it's not good. It doesn't help. You know, I know plenty of good traders that use VWAP. I just don't use it. Riot is up because the stock market broke out and because Bitcoin followed the stock market into strength. What do I think of using BITI as a short? I don't love the liquidity. Anytime there's a gap on a 5-minute chart, I really dislike it. So you had an entire 5 minutes here where the entire volume traded was, you know, $14,000. That's not enough for me. It's enough for many people. The daily volume here is still pretty low recently, but it's $10 million. So you can use it, definitely. I would use it more for swings, but then you have to keep in mind that your hands are tied. If you're trading something to do, I talk all the time about the benefits of trading these crypto stocks versus crypto, but the disadvantage is if I'm swing trading anything on the stock market related to crypto, it is open for literally 6.5 hours of the day. And then there's extended hours where I can still trade, but let's just say 8 hours, 9 hours where you can physically buy or sell these names. That means there are 15 hours in the day where your hands are literally tied. And no matter what Bitcoin is doing during those 15 hours, which recently has been no big deal because there's not a ton of volatility, But in a high volatility environment, if your hands are tied for 15 hours, Bitcoin can be 5% higher or lower over that amount of time. And so that is the risk of holding an overnight crypto stock position that ties your hands. So for me, it's more of they're more day trading instruments. MARA is showing nice strength here. So we're going to look for MARA to try and head up to 1072. Coin bulls got to break 63.75. And again, when you're comparing, who do I want to play? If I think Bitcoin's going to confirm a daily trend change, do I want to play MARA or Riot? Do MARA divided by Riot. And I can see that MARA has been outperforming Riot over the last 4 days. That's not a ton of time. It's not a clear trend, but it's something I check in on just to see where is the strength. For the most part, long term, Riot has been stronger than MARA. So just something to keep an eye on, because they oftentimes will shift one day to the next as to who's the better bear and who's the better bull. But today, MARA is the better bull. If I held Riot for 2 days and watched it go back and forth and then sold break even and then it breaks out, how do I handle it? It's just the way that the game goes. You've got to establish your clear game plan in advance. So what was the setup for Riot that you were looking for an entry on is the first question. If it's a swing trade, Riot bulls didn't prove anything until today. And they didn't really prove anything until late this morning. So there are plenty of times where I will sell right before a move takes place, or I'll sell too early. There's the perfect trade doesn't exist. You can nail the bottom and the top of a trade 1 out of every couple hundred times, and that feels real good. But that is not the expectation. I'm not going to nail tops. I'm not going to nail bottoms. I'm going to get the meat in the middle. I'm going to get my piece of the pie. If the entire range is the pie, I'm going to get the piece of it. And so don't have expectations that you're going to trade perfectly, because it doesn't exist. I always am entering too early or selling too early and still can be a profitable trader doing that. So in this instance, the lesson would be, I don't even know. I would have to see, when was your entry? What was your stop? The game plan for every single trade that you make, you need an entry point, a stop loss, and a target before you ever click a button. And if you're buying and you do not have a stop loss and a target established before you buy, you're playing the game wrong. And this comes from someone who plays the game full time. And anybody that you talk to that plays the game full time will agree to a certain degree with that statement. So, we're here on social media and giving you these little bits of critical information, so you've got to emulate the people who do this full time. If someone is doing this full time and they do it this way, I should probably look to doing it similarly. There are people that will say, I don't use a stop loss because it always triggers right before the pivot. And I look around and I don't see anybody that does this professionally not using a stop loss. So how does that make any sense? You can't expect to be successful if you're going against rule number 1 for many professionals. Thoughts on Ledger News? Definitely read up on Ledger News if you're using it. A lot of people are leaving Ledger and going to alternatives. And, that's what you do as a customer. If the company you're using does something you don't like, you go somewhere else. So read up on it and determine, is this a deal breaker for me? And if it is, you go elsewhere. Will the quality of Bitcoin Miami influence the market? I don't think so, no. All right, 62 likes, pathetic. But I appreciate the 62 of you that took the 3 seconds to click the button in exchange for my 43 minutes. Pretty good trade-off. Appreciate you all watching. Keep an eye on the broader market. I'll put out the video at the end of today, as always, talking about the broader market, which is absolutely impactful on the cryptocurrency space and market sentiment in general. And we will see you all to wrap up the week. And by then, we'll have a good bit more information as to whether or not Bitcoin is going to confirm the daily uptrend or not. Watching for an hourly higher low. Watch the retracement size. If we get back more than 50% of this move, it's a red flag. Do good things.